What if Anakin Skywalker didn't jump up to the high ground when Obi-Wan told him not to try it? That is our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy, and please do subscribe. We're so close to 70,000 subscribers. We'll be doing giveaways at 70,000, so hit the subscribe button. Thank you a ton, and let's get right into it. Our story begins on Mustafar as Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, is battling Obi-Wan Kenobi as their shared platform floats through the raging river. The two of them had their blades locked together, staring at each other as if the other person was a complete stranger. Master and apprentice, brothers, now fighting for the fate of the galaxy as enemies. The river ahead of them went from a raging but smooth lava flow to dangerous and rocky very soon, so Obi-Wan took the opportunity, flipping up to the high ground and looking upon Anakin. Anakin now used the Force to hold the platform in place against the rocks, and Obi-Wan yelled down at him that it is over, he has the high ground. Anakin yelled back that Obi-Wan underestimates his power, and as Obi-Wan told him not to try it, Anakin wanted nothing more than to prove Obi-Wan wrong. But as Anakin prepared for the jump, something happened. A vision entered his mind, and Anakin now saw himself getting cut down, burning in the lava, only to be placed into a dark suit while Padme died, and Obi-Wan was holding his children. For Anakin, the vision lasted only a minute, but to Obi-Wan not even a second went by. But Anakin's demeanor suddenly shifted. This wasn't the way, Anakin thought. The Force was trying to show him something. Anakin decided he would not try it. He looked around, needing a way to get Obi-Wan down without risking his own platform. And Anakin just decided to reach out, unleashing a powerful Force push to send a wave of lava and molten rock up at Obi-Wan's position. The Jedi Master was forced to leap over it, and when Obi-Wan landed back on the rocks, they were covered in lava, forcing him to leap all the way back to the platform that Anakin was floating on, which was now floating away. Anakin readied himself, and as Obi-Wan landed, Anakin swung at him, reigniting the duel. The two of them once again locked their lightsabers together, as Obi-Wan told Anakin that this has been going on for long enough. Anakin sliced away, growling at Obi-Wan to stand down and accept his death. But Obi-Wan, through his own deep breaths, held his blade back up, and told Anakin he simply cannot do that. He holds the galaxy in his hands. The galaxy he is protecting from Anakin. Their small platform hit a series of stable rocks, and Anakin backed up onto it, blade held at the ready, waiting for Kenobi to circle around before going back in with aggression. Anakin swung with more power, more hatred, and more fury than ever before, and now Obi-Wan realized something. Anakin was trying to compensate for a lack of real anger. Something shifted when Obi-Wan jumped to the high ground. He gave Anakin a chance to surrender, a chance for mercy. Even after everything, Obi-Wan wanted to save Anakin, not kill him, even though Obi-Wan knew Anakin may be gone for good. And Anakin was trying to prove to himself that he was gone. Only Vader remains, he told himself. Anakin swung, and the two of them spun around each other as Anakin flipped into the air to kick Obi-Wan in the chest. Obi-Wan stumbled backwards, back towards a new lava river, and a large chunk of rock broke off, sending Obi-Wan into the river on the rock. Anakin jumped after him, and the two shared a new series of strikes as their rock platform floated into a cave that was completely dark, illuminated now only by their blue sabers. There was an eerie silence as the two of them got used to this. Their faces, both determined, were lit up by the blue blades as they held them up before Anakin swung high again and again, aiming to overwhelm Kenobi with his physical strength. As Kenobi blocked each strike, and he used his own strength, and Anakin spun around, striking at the ground, but Obi-Wan leapt up, kicking Anakin's saber away, and it crashed hard into the cave wall, lodging into their rock platform. Anakin was off-balanced, trying to override his remaining connection to the light, and it was making him lose. Once again, Obi-Wan had Anakin at his mercy as he told Anakin to surrender. It's over. He doesn't want to have to kill him. He held his blade to Anakin's face, and Anakin looked for a new way out. The end of the cave was approaching, and Anakin had an idea. He would trap Obi-Wan in here, let him suffocate and burn. He will prove that he is a true Sith. So Anakin floated backwards a few steps, reaching out with the Force to grab the rocks holding the cave together, and he tried to pull them down. But Obi-Wan turned, reaching up, holding the cave together, yelling at Anakin to stop. But of course, Anakin didn't listen. He continued trying to rip the cave apart, while Obi-Wan held it together, and the two of them countered each other in the Force, until the cave exploded in upon itself from the Force. Rocks flew everywhere, and it felt as if the ground itself was shaking from the sheer power that they used. But before Skywalker and Kenobi could do anything, they were both hit hard by rocks, being knocked unconscious by the rocks flying all around. As Obi-Wan was hit, he saw Anakin become buried. He reached out to help him, but the rocks covered Obi-Wan and everything went dark. Sometime later, Obi-Wan Kenobi slowly woke up, and he felt his strength slowly return to him, as he did use the Force to lift the rocks off. He crawled out onto a series of hot rocks, and his robes were so burned up, but he quickly realized the ground was still shaking. Something was going on. As Obi-Wan looked around, he sensed something, and a second later, a giant molten rock crashed hard into the ground just a few meters from Obi-Wan. And even in the fiery Mustafar weather, a chill ran down Obi-Wan's spine as he realized what was happening. The tunnel he and Anakin were floating under and destroyed was a tunnel directly under a volcano that he and Anakin just set to erupt with their Force blast. Obi-Wan looked behind him, and he finally saw it, the tip of the volcano hidden above the tunnel cave, and it was beginning to erupt. Lava and heavy magma rocks were spewing from the top, and Obi-Wan realized that Anakin was nowhere to be found. Part of his mind whispered that he should just leave Anakin, get out of here, save Padme, but he just couldn't do it. He remembered seeing Anakin be hit with the rocks, and Obi-Wan now looked around, digging everywhere, slicing into rocks with his saber, until he finally saw Anakin, buried under heavy rubble from the tunnel. Obi-Wan was ripping the rocks away now, doing his best to save Anakin, until finally he heard Anakin coughing, gasping for breath. Obi-Wan lifted him up into a sort of hug and told him they need to get out of here. Anakin looked around, and he too saw the volcano that he and Obi-Wan set off. And now Anakin saw that his own anger, his own lust for power, could be his own destruction. Padme's destruction as well, if they don't hurry and get out of here. Anakin put his arm around Obi-Wan, pulling his saber back to him as he limped away, right as a series of molten rocks crashed right where they just were. The ground beneath Anakin and Obi-Wan trembled violently as the Mustafar volcano erupted with a deafening roar, spewing more and more molten lava and ash into the air as it was spreading further across the planet. The sky was darkening with smoke. Fiery rocks rained down around them. Both Jedi used the Force to numb their bodies from their injuries, and now they were running at full speed, helping each other cross the fiery surface. The heat was still unbearable. Sweat was pouring down their faces as they leapt over the rocks, narrowly avoiding streams of searing lava. As they navigated the Mustafar terrain, the ground was buckling, splitting open, sending shockwaves through the unstable surface. Anakin's agility and Obi-Wan's patience kept them just one step ahead of the disaster, but every single move they made was a gamble. They dodged falling debris. Their instincts were being sharpened by the years of knowing each other, working with each other, and their only focus was survival. With each heartbeat, the intensity of the volcanic eruption grew, and it was threatening to consume them in its fiery wrath. Amidst the chaos of it all, they found fleeting moments of unspoken coordination as Anakin would throw Obi-Wan over the raging lava river, and Obi-Wan then lifted Anakin across. They scaled jagged rock faces, sprinting across narrow ledges, the roar of the volcano drawing out all other sounds. But luckily, the two of them had hand signals to use with each other. The air was thick with ash, making it very difficult to breathe, but they pushed forward, driven by their sheer willpower. Finally, the two of them reached the landing platform, and a rock from the volcano was flying through the air, right towards the ship. And Obi-Wan reached out, grabbing it just in time. He was yelling out as he strained to hold the large rock from destroying the ship, and he called out to Anakin to help him destroy it. Anakin looked from the rock to Obi-Wan. He could easily cut down Kenobi now, but for what? Instead, he used a force push to help send the rock away, and he grabbed Padme, loading her onto the ship with Obi-Wan as they prepared to leave before the volcano completely blocked them off. But in space, the Emperor's shuttle sat above the planet. The clones in charge of piloting the ship were telling Palpatine that the surface was too dangerous to go to right now. They were detecting heavy volcanic activity. Sidious held a look of pure concentration as he closed his eyes, searching the Force to feel for Vader. He felt only a tiny feeling of him in the Force, and Sidious knew how important Vader was to establishing strength in his empire, so he ordered the shuttle to descend to the surface. The clone commander turned to express his disagreement, and Sidious warned the clone not to disobey him. And so, the shuttle flew down, entering the atmosphere and having to fly through the heavy ash in the sky. Sidious still had his eyes closed. He was guiding the clone pilot through the air to avoid any molten rocks spewed into the air. And on the landing platform, Anakin was working on taking off, while Obi-Wan was getting Padme settled into a bed in the back. And as Anakin was working to take off, he saw something emerge through the ash in the sky. It was a ship, the Emperor's shuttle. And inside the shuttle, Palpatine now sensed Anakin, breaking his concentration with the skies around the shuttle, and a volcanic rock slammed right into it. Almost immediately, all of the clones inside were killed, as Sidious grabbed the wall, bracing as the shuttle descended down, spinning through the air, crashing hard into a series of rocks next to the lava. And inside of Padme's ship, Anakin was now fighting with himself. He'd basically turned away from the dark by this point. All he saw was the destruction it caused, from angrily choking his own wife, to his brief vision under the high ground, to fighting Obi-Wan, literally causing a planet now threatening a volcanic eruption. He saw the darkness was not the way. It couldn't save Padme. It could only destroy her. But Anakin knew that for as long as Sidious lived, he would never be able to fully rid himself of the dark. And he knew that even with the shuttle crash, Sidious was still alive. Anakin knew he had to finish this, or Sidious would escape and torment him forever. So Anakin leapt up from the pilot's seat, lowering the ramp, and he ran out when Obi-Wan called out to him. Anakin told Obi-Wan to tell Padme she was right about him. Obi-Wan nodded as Anakin leapt off of the landing platform. Obi-Wan decided to take off now, flying low and having R2-D2 scan for Anakin below the ship. They were much further away from the volcano now, but they certainly were not safe from its dangerous effects. Obi-Wan flew around until they spotted the crashed shuttle, and he thought no one could survive that. But of course, inside of the shuttle, Darth Sidious did crawl out of the fiery mess, his robes on fire, as he stepped out, using the Force to extinguish the flames, before looking up and seeing him. Anakin Skywalker stood in front of Sidious, with his blue blade ignited, ready to end this, once and for all. Sidious ignited his red blade, and he walked towards Anakin with pure rage. This situation was an absolute mess, and he was ready to discard of Skywalker for his failures, and just move on. Build his empire with the Inquisitors if he must. He would find a way out of here. The clash of their sabers echoed through the dangerous environment, each strike adding to the already explosive terrain as they clashed with their immense power. Anakin's attacks were fueled by raw emotion, his movements swift and aggressive, using the same technique he used to defeat Dooku, while Sidious countered with calculated anger, his mastery of the dark side evident as he ripped through the air to try and bring Skywalker down. As the ground trembled beneath them, lava was spewing dangerously close, their duel intensified. They moved with inhuman speed, their sabers a blur of light in the darkened area. The heat from the erupting volcano singed their robes, and the ground shifted beneath them, threatening to swallow them in molten rock. Amidst the chaos of it all, Anakin summoned the Force to enhance his battle, but Sidious responded with powerful bursts of lightning. As the duel was raging on, Obi-Wan flew low with the ramp open, holding out his hand for Anakin to jump to him. The environment became increasingly unstable, and Anakin looked at Sidious, stumbling back up towards him. Then up to Obi-Wan. Anakin knew he had to finish what he started, and he force-pushed Obi-Wan back into the ship. Lava flows surged closer, forcing both Sidious and Anakin to leap up onto precarious platforms of rock, their duel now spanning the collapsing landscape. In the ship, Obi-Wan understood what Anakin needed from him, so he ran back to the controls, putting the ship's thrusters into full force, blasting through the air as the ash was threatening to trap them in the planet. But Obi-Wan did what had to be done, getting to space and knowing Anakin was fulfilling his prophecy. On the surface, Anakin could see the ship escape, and he could feel Kenobi and Padme were safe. This was good. It gave him balance and calm, while Sidious was beyond angry, and Anakin was accepting the moment. As the lava and molten rocks crashed down upon them, Anakin struck down Sidious as he died under his own terms, destroying the Sith once and for all as the lava and rocks did consume him. Obi-Wan would fly Padme to Polis Massa to meet with Yoda and Bail Organa, and Obi-Wan would reveal everything. The horrors of Mustafar would forever haunt him, fighting Anakin, saving Padme, forcing himself to leave Anakin, the volcano. It was horrible, but he forced himself to let it go for now, and focus on keeping Padme safe, as she would give birth to twins. Obi-Wan would tell Padme everything that happened on Mustafar, and how Anakin sacrificed himself just so she could get away. Now all of this could have been avoided if he never turned, but even so, he did sacrifice himself for her in the end. Padme would accept this, and upon giving birth, she forced herself to survive in order to honor the sacrifice. She would live on, and she would raise Luke and Leia in a new, safer, reformed galaxy. With Palpatine dead and gone, the Senate group called the Delegation of 2000, led by Padme, Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and many others, was able to step into the Senate and denounce Palpatine's empire, exposing him for the evil man that he was, working only for himself all of these years. It wouldn't be easy, but this delegation would spend months working back Palpatine's declaration of an empire, and they would use the clone troopers to shut down resisting militaristic groups wanting to lead an empire with fear. The clones would have their chips removed and remain loyal to a republic, wanting to make up for what they did to their Jedi commanders. And after a year, the mini-civil war would end, and the Republic would be back. The Jedi Order, now led by Kenobi, while Yoda was in more of a guiding role, would settle in on Lothal, where an ancient temple was hidden deep in the plains. It would be a good place to restart the Order and just get away from everything. And Obi-Wan would bring Ahsoka back to the rebuilding Order to help him eventually train Luke and Leia to help keep the peace in a newly peaceful galaxy. And folks, that is our story for today. So when writing this, I was kind of like, dang, we were getting pretty far into it, and I was like, wow, we've been on Mustafar this whole time. So I kind of had a fun idea. I haven't done many videos where we just stay on one planet the whole time, basically. Of course, we do go to Polis Massa, Coruscant at the very end. But, yeah, I really wanted to just stick on Mustafar and just see what happened. The volcano, I'm not a volcano expert, so you guys can let me know if I really screwed up the volcano, but I wanted to have a volcano eruption. Make it wild, The duel on Mustafar was already insane, just chaotic with them moving all around the planet. So I thought, hey, what if we just keep doing that? Make it more intense, make it more chaotic, make it more fun. So that's what I did. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I've got some fun ideas coming up for next week, so stay tuned for those. Once again, be sure to subscribe. As always, once Anakin slaughters the younglings and I do a little redemption arc with him, I'm typically going to kill him off or send him into exile. There's not much hope for him and Padme after Anakin does the temple, so yeah, had to kill him off. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next video.